Eli Thomas had long chosen the solitude of Halos' jagged cliffs over the bustling life he once led on Earth as an emergency medic. The planet, with its expansive oceans and harsh landscapes, provided the perfect retreat for a man seeking to escape the past and its painful memories. He had adapted to this quieter life, learning the ways of the land and sea, finding solace in the rhythmic crash of waves against rock. It was during one of his evening walks, while collecting medicinal herbs along the cliffside, that the sky split open with a blaze of light that cut through the twilight. A fiery object, engulfed in a tail of sparkling embers, streaked across the horizon and plummeted toward the ocean shore. The sight was so unexpected, so out of place in the serene landscape, that Eli stood rooted to the spot, his heart pounding in his chest. After a moment of stunned silence, his training kicked in. Dropping his basket of herbs, he scrambled down the precarious paths leading to the beach, driven by a blend of concern and adrenaline. As he approached the shore, the smell of scorched metal filled the air, and the remnants of what appeared to be a small spacecraft were scattered across the sand. Amidst the wreckage, partially submerged by the tide, was a figure. Eli rushed to the water's edge, his medic instincts overriding the shock of the crash. He found a woman, unconscious, her body entangled in the twisted remains of her ship. Her skin was unlike anything he had ever seen, covered in scales that shimmered with an iridescent sheen under his flashlight. Despite her alien appearance, Eli's human empathy took precedence. He carefully disentangled her from the debris and carried her to the dry sand, checking for signs of life. On the shore, under the light of Halos' twin moons, Eli set to work with the methodical precision of a seasoned medic. The woman's breathing was shallow, her pulse weak but steady. He used his portable medkit to clean and dress several lacerations that marred her otherwise luminescent skin. Her anatomy was unusual, but his training allowed him to adapt his techniques to provide the best care possible. As he administered a coagulant to stop the bleeding from a deep wound on her arm, the woman's eyes fluttered open. They were remarkable, one appearing almost human, brown and wide, reflecting fear. The other was vertically slit, glowing faintly with an inner light that cast an eerie glow on her face. "Who are you?" she rasped, trying to sit up. Her voice carried a musical quality, yet there was an undeniable strength behind her words. "My name's Eli," he responded, gently pressing her back down to prevent further strain. "I'm here to help you. Can you tell me your name?" "Lyra," she whispered. Her gaze flicked around, taking in her surroundings, the wreck, the ocean, and the night sky. "Where am I?" "You're on Halos, a planet far from the central trade routes. It's safe here," Eli reassured her, checking her vitals again. "You've been injured, but you're going to be okay." Lyra's hand reached out, gripping his with unexpected strength. "I was escaping. They wanted me dead," she murmured, her eyes closing once again from exhaustion or pain. Eli couldn't tell. "Rest now," Eli soothed, his voice calm. "You're safe here with me. I'll take care of you." As Lyra drifted into a fitful sleep, Eli pondered her words. Who was after her? Why did they want her dead? The night air grew chill, and he draped his jacket over her, vowing to protect this mysterious stranger who had fallen, quite literally, into his world. Settling in beside her, Eli prepared for a long night. He watched over Lyra, her breathing becoming more steady as the hours passed. The mystery of her arrival and her haunting beauty stirred a protective instinct in him, one that he had not felt in many years. As the first light of dawn approached, Eli knew that his quiet life on Halos was about to change forever. The pale light of dawn stretched across the shores of Halos, illuminating the wreckage and the figure of Eli, who had not moved from Lyra's side throughout the night. As the sun's rays touched her face, Lyra's eyes fluttered open, casting around in momentary confusion before settling on Eli. "Good morning," Eli greeted gently, offering a small flask of water. "How do you feel?" Lyra attempted to sit up, wincing as she did so. Eli quickly supported her, helping her into a sitting position against the smooth rocks. She took the flask, her fingers brushing against his, and drank deeply. "Thank you," she murmured, handing back the empty flask. I remember now. I was fleeing from my father's enemies. They didn't approve of my existence." Eli listened intently, his professional detachment blending with a growing personal concern. "Your existence? Why would that be a problem?" Lyra's otherworldly eyes met his, filled with a mixture of fear and defiance. I am considered an abomination by many in my father's kingdom. My mother was human, and such unions are forbidden. My father is a king of a distant star system, but even he couldn't protect me forever. The weight of her admission hung heavily between them, compounded by the sound of the waves crashing in the background. Eli considered her words, realizing the gravity of what she faced. You're safe here, Lyra. This planet is remote. Few know of it, and even fewer visit. You can stay here as long as you need. Lyra's gaze shifted towards the ocean, contemplating the vast expanse. Perhaps, but if they found me once, they can find me again. My presence here might endanger you as well. Eli shook his head firmly. I chose a life of solitude to escape my past, not out of fear for my safety. I'm not about to start hiding now. Besides, I took an oath to help those in need. You need help, Lyra. I'm here for you. Over the next several days, Eli and Lyra worked together to salvage anything useful from her wrecked spacecraft. The process was physically demanding, but Lyra, despite her injuries, insisted on helping. Eli admired her resilience, noting how her presence brought a new energy into his previously solitary existence. As they worked, Lyra shared more about her life, her isolated upbringing in a hidden compound, her secret education facilitated by her mother's people, and the relentless pursuit by those who viewed her hybrid nature as a threat to their purest ideologies. Why would they consider you a threat? Eli asked as they took a break under the shade of a large rock formation. Lyra's lips twisted wryly. Fear of the unknown, fear of change, fear of losing power. My very existence challenges the status quo of both human and alien societies. Some see me as a bridge, others see me as a divide. Eli nodded, understanding more than he let on. His own past had taught him that fear could drive people to extreme actions. What do you want, Lyra? Really? Lyra looked out towards the sea, her expression thoughtful. I want to stop running. I want to use my knowledge for good. My mother taught me about healing, about the flora and fauna of her world. Maybe I can do something similar here. Moved by her desire to make a difference despite everything, Eli proposed a plan. Why don't we start a healing center right here? Between your knowledge and my medical skills, we could offer help to anyone who finds their way to Halos. It could be a place of refuge, a place of new beginnings. Lyra's face lit up with a hopeful smile, the first Eli had seen since her arrival. I'd like that, she said. Very much. Together, they began to lay the foundations for what would become a sanctuary, not just for Lyra, but for any who were lost, just as Eli had been, just as Lyra was no longer. As they built, Eli found himself believing in something greater than survival. For the first time in a long time, he believed in the future. Over the following weeks, Eli and Lyra's plan began to take shape along the shores of Halos. They worked tirelessly, using salvaged materials from Lyra's spacecraft and natural resources gathered from the surrounding environment. Eli was surprised at how resourceful Lyra was, utilizing her alien technology in ways he could never have imagined. Together, they constructed the main structure of the sanctuary. Lyra designed a building that blended seamlessly with the natural landscape, its walls curving like the waves of the ocean, with large windows that captured the light of Halos' twin suns. Inside, they set up a healing center equipped with both human medical supplies and alien technology, creating a unique space that could cater to a wide variety of species and medical needs. During this time, Lyra also taught Eli about her mother's herbal remedies, which were new and often more effective than the treatments Eli was familiar with. They spent long hours collecting plants and herbs, Lyra explaining their properties and how they could be combined to treat different ailments. As the sanctuary neared completion, Eli noticed a change in Lyra. The fear and uncertainty that had shadowed her features when they first met had begun to dissipate, replaced by a sense of purpose and a confidence that made her seem almost regal. Eli realized that Lyra was not just building a refuge for others. She was carving out a place for herself in a world that had always seen her as different. Their work was put to the test sooner than Eli had anticipated. One evening, as the sun set, casting a golden glow over the sea, a small spacecraft landed near the sanctuary. The ship was sleek and appeared to be heavily damaged. As Eli and Lyra approached cautiously, the hatch opened, and two figures stumbled out, supporting each other. They were a human and an alien from a species Eli didn't recognize, both injured and clearly in distress. Eli sprang into action, guiding them into the sanctuary and immediately beginning to assess their injuries. Lyra was right beside him, her training taking over as she calmly assisted. The human, who introduced himself as Marek, explained that they had escaped from a slave ship where they had both been held captive. They had managed to break free and hijack one of the ship's smaller vessels, but not before sustaining injuries during their escape. As Eli treated Marek's dislocated shoulder and the alien's more complex lacerations, he was impressed by how well the equipment and supplies they had prepared were suited to the task. Lyra moved through the treatments with a grace that belied her earlier inexperience, her intuition for healing shining through. After stabilizing their conditions, Eli and Lyra provided them with food and a place to rest. Marek, grateful and more relaxed now, shared stories of his and his companions' home planets and how they had been captured during a raid. That night, as Eli lay in his cot in the sanctuary, he realized the full potential of what they had created. It was more than just a refuge. It was a beacon of hope, a place where the lost and the weary could find solace and healing. The successful treatment of their first patients proved to Eli and Lyra that their sanctuary was not just a dream. It was a reality, one that had already begun to make a difference. Lyra, who had once felt like an outcast, was now a healer and a protector on a world far from her own. And Eli, who had sought solitude to escape his past, had found a new purpose in helping others. As they continued to work together, strengthening their bond and expanding the capabilities of the sanctuary, Eli knew that they were ready to face whatever challenges came next. They had built something extraordinary, not just for themselves, but for anyone in need of help. As word of Eli and Lyra's sanctuary spread through the star lanes, more beings in distress began to find their way to the shores of Halos. Each new arrival brought different challenges and stories from distant worlds, each confirming the need for such a haven in the galaxy. Eli found himself busier than ever, treating ailments ranging from simple space sickness to complex extraterrestrial pathogens. One evening, while reviewing the stock of medicinal herbs in the storage room, Lyra approached Eli with a thoughtful expression. "Eli, we've been doing incredible work, but I can't help but think we could do more," she said, her voice echoing the weight of her thoughts. "What do you have in mind?" Eli asked, intrigued by her tone. Lyra spread out a map of Halos across the table. "Look at the distance some of these individuals have traveled to reach us. There are no such facilities for many light years. What if we could set up smaller outposts across the galaxy, staffed by volunteers trained here? We could reach more people and offer help where it's needed most." Eli considered her proposal, recognizing the scale of ambition in her idea. "It's a big step," he admitted, "but it's a good one. We've started something important here. Spreading this mission could multiply the good exponentially." Together, they began planning. They reached out to their past patients, many of whom were eager to give back to the sanctuary that had helped them. With each volunteer, their network grew, seeds of the sanctuary taking root in other parts of the galaxy. Training programs were established, focusing on the dual medical knowledge of human and alien treatments that Eli and Lyra had pioneered. Months turned into a year, and the sanctuary's influence continued to expand. Eli found himself often in communication with leaders from different planets, discussing the establishment of new medical outposts. Lyra took charge of the training programs, her innate understanding of both human and alien biology making her an exceptional teacher. One day, as Eli was overseeing the construction of a communications hub designed to improve their outreach, a message came through from a distant and influential planet. The ruler of Cygnus III, having heard of their work, invited Eli and Lyra to discuss a potential alliance to further medical aid across his sector. Eli and Lyra traveled to Cygnus III, a world buzzing with advanced technology and diverse species. Their meeting with Governor Talon was productive, resulting in substantial funding and support for their expanding network. Talon, impressed by their dedication and success, agreed to advocate for their cause with other planetary governments. The trip also provided Eli and Lyra with access to advanced medical technologies that were not available on Helos. They returned with equipment that would enhance their ability to treat patients and train volunteers, significantly boosting the capabilities of the original sanctuary in each of its offshoots. As they worked to integrate these new resources, Eli watched Lyra addressing a group of trainees. She spoke with confidence, her experience as a healer evident in her every word. Eli realized how much she had grown since the day he had found her on the shore. She was no longer just a survivor of her circumstances. She was a leader shaping them. That evening, as they walked along the beach near the sanctuary, Lyra turned to Eli. "Do you think we're making a difference?" she asked quietly. Eli looked at the thriving compound, the lights from the medical bays casting a warm glow over the sand. "I think we're changing the galaxy, one life at a time." Together they watched the waves, thinking about the future. What had started as an act of compassion on a remote beach had grown into a movement that spanned stars. And as each wave crashed upon the shore, it whispered of new beginnings, of hope and healing reaching far beyond the cliffs of Helos. As the network of sanctuaries flourished, Eli and Lyra faced unexpected challenges that tested their resolve and the sustainability of their expansive project. One particular challenge arose when a viral outbreak spread through one of the newly established outposts on the frontier world of Zephyria. The virus was alien, aggressive, and resistant to conventional treatments, putting the outpost's limited medical resources under severe strain. Eli, ever the problem solver, immediately set out for Zephyria with Lyra, bringing with them a team of their best medical researchers and the advanced equipment they had acquired from Cygnus 3. Upon arrival, the situation was dire. The local population, including many who had come to the outpost for refuge and healing, were falling ill rapidly, overwhelming the facility. Working tirelessly in makeshift labs, Lyra used her unique biological insights to develop an understanding of the virus. Meanwhile, Eli coordinated with the local health officials and the Galactic Mediation Council to implement quarantine measures to prevent the spread beyond the planet. The stakes were high and the pressure immense, but Eli and Lyra's commitment to their mission never wavered. Through a combination of Lyra's scientific acumen and Eli's medical expertise, they developed a novel antiviral treatment. After several tense days of careful application and monitoring, the treatment proved effective, and the outbreak began to recede. Their success not only saved countless lives but also solidified the reputation of their network as a beacon of hope and a bastion of innovation in healthcare across the galaxy. With the crisis averted, Eli and Lyra returned to Helos, where they were greeted as heroes. The experience had strengthened their resolve and deepened their partnership. Under their leadership, the network of sanctuaries not only recovered but expanded, now equipped with the knowledge and resources to handle similar emergencies in the future. As they continued their work, Eli often reflected on the journey that had brought them to this point. From a chance encounter on a remote beach to leading a galactic medical revolution, their paths had been filled with challenges and triumphs. But through it all, their mission to heal and help those in need remained unwavering. One evening, as they watched a sunset paint the ocean with hues of orange and purple, Lyra turned to Eli. "Do you ever think about how it all started?" she asked, her voice tinged with wonder. "All the time," Eli responded, his arm around her shoulders. "It seems like fate, doesn't it? A crash, a rescue, and now this." He gestured broadly toward the thriving sanctuary behind them, now a hub of activity and a home for their expanded medical team. Lyra smiled, her eyes reflecting the last light of the day. "Maybe it was fate," she mused. "Or maybe it was just us, being in the right place at the right time, ready to make a difference." As night fell and the stars began to twinkle in the clear sky, Eli thought about the future. There were still worlds to reach, diseases to cure, and lives to save. But he knew that together with Lyra and the incredible team they had built, there was no limit to what they could achieve. Their legacy would be written in the lives they had touched and the peace they had brought to troubled places. It was a legacy of compassion, resilience, and unwavering dedication to the sanctity of life. Principles that would guide the sanctuary network as it moved into the future, spreading hope like stars lighting up the darkest night.